Welkom bij de Vele Gezichten van Maria Magdalena podcast. In deze podcast neem ik jullie mee in mijn Maria Magdalena quest. Ik ga in gesprek met inspirerende mensen die allemaal hun eigen bijzondere connectie hebben met haar. We delen de lessen en wijsheid die we ontvangen. Er is niet één waarheid, maar elk gesprek brengt je dichter bij jouw eigen waarheid. Mocht de podcast je raken en wil je dat ik blijf delen over Maria Magdalena, abonneer je dan op mijn kanaal, reageer in de comments, like de video of word member. Speciaal voor members deel ik exclusieve content en embodiment tools om je lichaam te openen voor nog meer wijsheid. Voor €22 support je de podcast, word je onderdeel van de Maria Magdalena community en ontvang je waardevolle content. En nu snel over naar het volgende interview. Ik wens je een hele bijzondere reis. Welcome to the next edition of the Many Faces of the Mary Magdalene. This time I have two guests in the show and we are also live together. That's also not always the case. We tried to meet each other in 𝐕𝐶𝐸. This is where both these beautiful women live. We didn't manage to see each other because we weren't there at the same time. So now we are meeting in the Netherlands to give you this interview. I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, let's start introducing yourself. Anna, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. Well, my name is Anna, and I'm originally from Canada. And via the Czech Republic, Prague, where I was for 15 years, I arrived in 𝐕𝐶𝐸. I was guided there by the spiritual realms. And so I've been living there for 15 years in Burgundy and 11 years in 𝐕𝐶𝐸. And slowly but surely, we're starting to build a community. Petra arrived. You can say maybe a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. You want to tell me? Okay, I'll tell. Yeah, I arrived in 𝐕𝐶𝐸 2016, so it's now 8 years. I can't believe it. But yeah, I was originally born in the Netherlands, and through a whole experience and a calling of Mary Magdalene, actually, I arrived in 𝐕𝐶𝐸 and needed to anchor there also. So yeah, and that's where we met as neighbors. I mean, we were really close to each other. And in the first years, we were just friends and doing things together. We did a lot of spiritual work. Yeah, and then in 2020, the calling came in strongly that we needed to really bring something in the world, which we now call Mary Magdalene's School, modern day mystery school, we call it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. There's much more to say, but just
Yeah.
here is a synopsis. Yeah.
Because I am curious, what is your first entering into Mary Magdalene? Like, how did she came into your life?
That's a very interesting question, and I don't think there's a really easy answer to that. I've had Mary Magdalene in my life consciously since my life in the Czech Republic, and where very spontaneously and unconsciously, over a period of several years, there was a group of women that started to come together to do circle work together, to raise children together, actually, to birth together, raise children together, and we used to spend time together, maybe a month at a time, very intensive times, healing, doing ceremony, learning, and spiritual learning and remembering. And we used to put the kids to bed and then convene in the chapel at night from 9 till 12. We did work in the chapel. During the days, we would do meditations, and of course, in between, we were taking care of the children, cooking, all the rest of it. And out of this arose a remembrance of the Egyptian solar tradition, which we ourselves didn't know, but some people started to come in and say, you're resurrecting this tradition. And slowly but surely, remembrance started to come back. And so this doesn't happen at once, it comes over a period of time. And I was doing very deep spiritual initiations with an Indian master when I was living in the Czech Republic. And at a certain point in time, my angels came in and they said, you're going to be leaving this country and you're going to be continuing your work elsewhere. And to make a long story short, we arrived in 𝐉𝐨𝐢𝐬𝐧, which is Magdalene Center. And it was this Indian spiritual master that through the etheric realms brought me there. So, and that's a very long story, and there's a lot to say there that I think would be very interesting for your audience. Anyone who's interested in the Magdalene line, the priestess line, the consciousness of Immaculate Conception, creation, the mechanisms of creation, all of this, there's an enormous amount of knowledge there that is coming up to be remembered. So that's a simple answer.
I just want to ask you, what is the Egyptian solar teaching?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to pass that on to Petra because she's the expert in that.
Whoa.
Solar yoga.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lineage of priestesses that hold and practice on earth a deep remembrance of what we call Sophia Christ consciousness. That's the name that we have felt was the closest. It's a solar consciousness that is so coming from a sphere of oneness that these priestesses worked with at the time in the consciousness that was there. And we know that many of that tradition are around on the earth at the moment, have incarnated to bring that consciousness back to humanity in the ascension process we're in. And we see the last couple of years, it becomes really known how important the whole solarization process is in the change of consciousness of humanity. And which, I mean, we know the consciousness of Mary Magdalene is connected to this consciousness. She has guided us step by step in this solarization process, which is not just about our son. Yes, it is about our son, but it's also about the great cosmic spiritual son that brings in this consciousness through our galactic sun into our spheres, into our body, because everything is connected, and gives us an openness of consciousness in which we can receive the memory, but also the intelligence of what Christ consciousness is about and what true oneness is about.
And is this then related to the golden age?
Yeah, for us, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean, I think, we always say, take what resonates with what we say. So we speak from our direct experience here and how it is for us.
Yeah.
And I feel that's really important because that people do not take it for granted. Always take your own path, follow your inner guidance above anything else. But for us, yes, it is connected to the golden age. It's connected to the whole change of eras that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's connected to our soul mission, why we are bringing in the mystery school teachings in a way, which are teachings of life.
Yeah.
It's not the Western way we teach. It's a whole different way that comes from the inner realms where everything actually is. The whole, I can speak about a sun as if it is outside of ourselves, but every teaching we bring in, or every connection, or every channeling, or everything we are aligning ourselves with is always in the inside. So
that's actually the basis. If there's one thing that's important to understand and really grasp, is that we're doing a 180-degree turn. We've been socialized for millennia to think that everything's on the outside.
Yes.
And this is what we're doing. We're in the process now of shifting 180 degrees, realizing actually the beginning of everything is on the inside.
Internally.
We can meet nothing on the outside unless we've already met it in the inside. It's just not possible. It's a creation mechanism. And so we're really being asked to bring back these creation mechanisms, this awareness, so that people regain their power, the real power, not socialized power, but their real inner power to start making the world according to their own inner world. But it requires spending time inside.
And what is it, the real power? What is it for you?
The real power is to know that we are one with the entire universe. The power of the entire universe resides within. And anything we want to create, we can create it from inside. It's not a mental creation, it's a soul creation. So in a sense, our school is like a soul university, you could say.
And then you say what you want to create. But what is the difference between what spirit has for you and that what you want as an individual? What is your view on that? You can, whoever feels the...
Yeah, it's. I think that this is one of the beautiful explorations of the mystery, of the great mystery, because we are individuated sparks, lights of the one, of source consciousness. And so I experience it often as a two-way channel. And it's not a mental process, like I say. I use my observational skills to see what on the outside may be triggering me, for example, or I feel there needs to be an evolution in a certain area. And I go back in my inner realms and I go into silence and into a place of stillness where I meet the creator, where I meet this source consciousness, this God consciousness within myself, the divine mother within myself. And there something begins to happen. Either it's a conversation, or it's a prayer, or it's a feeling, or it's an image, and something begins to start alchemizing. And this is what we teach often also in our school, is these processes of alchemization. So there are many levels, there are many possibilities. It's individual, it's part of the mystery within ourselves, and the infinite possibility also within ourselves to enact change in our world and create the world that we want to see.
And is it then that it starts in nothing, that it starts in silence, and then the creation starts out of something?
I would love to respond to that, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's
my favorite theme.
It's a favorite theme. Yeah, I think everything starts in the infinite fields of source, for sure. And I think in the Western world, and I mean, we speak a lot to the Western people here, of course, we're born here. There's so many sounds and stimuli outside. It's so difficult to become silent. So if there's one route that we would love to see, is that people reconnect to the inner silence, and to understand what that will bring to them, which is one of the greatest fulfillments I think a human being can experience on earth, to be in that space, to be connected, and then meet the creator inside, and then feel, understand, and experience the power of creation in oneself, to be the creator. And I think, I mean, there's always the great mystery at work. We are always, navigating a field that is sometimes really known, and we have a feeling like, oh, we feel it. There's insights coming in, there's revelations, and then there's unknown territories, and then we have to trust. We're navigating these fields, and all of a sudden, the great mystery somehow answers in a manifestation, which can be very practical. Yeah, I mean, we shared about your search for a beautiful place to give birth, and you look and you search in the Western way, and when you let go and you surrender and you trust, then it comes.
Can find you.
So the house finds you, and it can be on any level. It can be on any human level, on partnerships, on things you just need for yourself. It can be circumstances that arrive. And we spoke about the Egyptian traditions. There's many traditions, and if there's one thing that we call it the channel that we serve, there's something specific about it, is that is the consciousness there, which is often held by Mary Magdalene, how she approaches us, is that she brings us to the edge of letting go and surrender of all the things we know so well, and then allow the memory to rise, or the great mystery to rise, to teach us, so we can also transmit it to others, which is a beautiful process. And there comes in the alchemy also. She, they, whoever it is teaching us what the alchemy is about in the earth plane. So that's really beautiful, how matter and non-matter, light, love, principles, how they come together in a specific moment and then really manifest as a reality here. And we know that we know from ourselves that we are here to also to bring back the intelligence and the teachings of creation from a base of oneness, where there's no space for separation, where everything comes from this beautiful source consciousness, God consciousness.
Heart field. It starts in the heart, doesn't it? That's where the coherency comes from, so that we are moving out of the incoherent, inverted creations that we see everywhere in the world today, and moving back into coherency and into creations that are good for everyone, not good just for a few.
And what would you see as a shift when that is happening?
Well, we talk often about paradise, because that's what the natural encoding of our planet is paradise. If we just live in tune with natural law, we will live in paradise. There will be prosperity and abundance for all. And so we are capable of that individually when we are tuned to the natural cosmic laws, to the natural laws of this earth, of Gaia, of Mother Earth. We do naturally live in prosperity and abundance.
And where do you attune to then? Because I hear there's the earth and there's also the mystery that is wider than that. So where do you attune to find that?
Well, earlier you talked about the emptiness and the silence. This is where I most like to go, into the void. And in the void, this is where I also find the cosmic womb. And
is then the cosmic womb, is that also for you related to the earth?
Yeah, it includes everything and the potential of birthing everything. It brings me into the flow of source consciousness. It brings me into the potential of new creation, and it is by nature aligned with all of the energies that exist everywhere in creation. So Mother Earth, but also in the cosmic realms. And we're often, and this is also to our great surprise, we are also, since the beginning of the school, called very much into the galactic realms. So it's not only about the creation here on Gaia, but it's also we're being opened, and we're being challenged, and we're being expanded. We're being asked to expand and expand and expand. When we talk about that, it's the consciousness, the conscious awareness, expand, 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 in order to come back into that co-creation also with all our galactic brothers and sisters, all of the galactic life that exists there, that we're part of, that, but we've been disconnected from it. So it's a very surprising for us service, let's say, to consciousness, because we probably wouldn't have chosen it. The little me in us would not have chosen it.
Exactly.
And there are moments in the journey that we've said, well, why are we being guided to do this? Why are these the transmissions that we need to then send out into the world? And now there's something happen we see globally, where it would appear as if there are different people around the world who have been prepared to be able to meet this consciousness, and a new opening is happening planetarily, where we're able to really step into that level of our co-creation.
So you also feel that this Christ consciousness, or Sophia Christ, that we are ready to receive, or preparing ourselves ready, we need the other star systems to co-create with us. Is that how you see it?
That's how it appears to
Yeah.
us. So there's unexpected meetings with consciousness that come from different planes that we have given different names in our galaxy. But it's, I would say for me, it's very specific a consciousness that they bring, and that they support the rise of our vibration, or bringing us specific intelligence understandings of how mechanisms work, how Earth also works, like the mechanisms on Earth. So they're really, there's so much out there supportive to bring the ascension process or the change into the golden era, as you said, to a really beautiful new opening. And we're in the middle of it, and we receive an incredible amount of information that we are really well on track in a way. And it's interesting also because this interview is in the scope of Mary Magdalene and all of her faces, and we are always surprised how we meet her, or who is brought into the channel that she initiated, from all kinds of angles. How expansive it is. How it's an how do you say that? An expanded consciousness that she brings in from all sides of the globe, all traditions.
Yeah, and what's happened in our consciousness, and that she is no longer just part of this story around the Holy Family and Jeshua and Mother Mary, who we're very deeply connected to more and more, because they're guiding us more and more and more into deeper and deeper realms of creation and the mysteries of creation. But that what she's showing us is, they have also a background in other places, not just on this planet. They came to this planet with a very specific purpose of helping liberate the consciousness here and helping evolve humanity.
Yeah.
But they actually are very connected to other consciousness in the galaxy. And she's been teaching us about all of that. And often not because we look for it.
And is there a specific, like for instance, Venus or the Arcturians or...
Yeah, I would
Absolutely.
say all of those. Well, I was thinking just to step on that. We worked yesterday a little bit. We worked really deeply with the heart and the sacred space of the heart and Jeshua. I mean, they always come together, or almost always. And the teachings that we received through the channel we call the Melchizedek channel, where he's an integral part of. I mean, and that whole channel holds the wisdom of the sacred space of the heart and the incredible alchemical power of the heart space. We're exploring that at the moment because we're taught around the sacred space of the heart, the higher heart, and all the differences.
We're leading
and
a program in that right now, so it's
and
very,
how
very
that's part of alchemy
potent.
on Earth. So, and I mean, that's also described in a way in the Bible. Yeah, we know about Melchizedek in the Bible. But when we then worked with the Melchizedek consciousness, which came strongly in through our work on Cyprus, which again is then also connected to 𝐉𝐨𝐬𝐬, there opened a whole field of an understanding of a huge, let's say an etheric temple, a temple connected to Orion, connected to our galaxy, connected to the consciousness of our Earth that we needed to work with. And all let's say the names we know from the Holy Family, of course connected to Mary Magdalene, came in that work as just as light beings, as appearances of consciousness. So that's Orion. But the last retreats we had in 𝐉𝐶𝐬 in July, we worked with an enormous field of Venusians. And there was a strong presence of Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene and many of the sisterhood coming from that space, that had to do with opening a space in ourselves to create a landing space for very high evolved souls to be able to come into the earth plane, to incarnate here
without distortion fields.
Without distortion fields, because otherwise it would not be possible. And there was this consciousness of Venus, this incredible field of unconditional love, but not the way that I've ever known it on Earth to that degree. And it's also something we're learning still, to move beyond what we know as love, what we know as unconditional love, and then move even further. We know that they brought that into the field, in the earth fields, which is unbelievable. They prepared this entire field for the creation of the new, based in a vibration of love. And so and it is so hopeful also to witness that,
and it's
and to see these beings coming into the earth realms, and the people we work with in this retreat, they felt it. They felt the midwifery role in a way that we had, which was a full co-creation with, let's say, galactic consciousness and earth, we here as human beings, because it needs to come through our bodies. That's why we came here.
Yeah, exactly.
So these are kind of like, I mean, if you would have told me this years ago, I would like, ooh, that sounds really like on the edge of something, but it's, at the moment, it feels so natural, as our consciousness, of course, also opened to all of this.
Exactly. I feel that there's also, we are ready for it to receive these messages as well. I think, well, before you would think, what? Yeah.
And what's interesting to me is that right now, very, very open in my field is a kind of a looping back 2,000 years, where this newest wave, let's say, of seeding this consciousness came in through the Holy Family. And as I was working very intensively with this Indian spiritual master years ago, and continuously, because he's in meditation, he's there, and his big intention was to reconnect his students with the Divine Mother. And he said, and I found this out recently, he said that the ashram that he has resurrected, let's say, in the recent times, in this our generation, there are writings by Jeshua in that ashram that have been found, but also by Mary Magdalene and their children. They were there together. And that a third of these writings stayed in that ashram, in that space, that temple space. A third came to Europe, and a third were destroyed. And part of these teachings were the channels that they brought in, the spiritual technologies that they were working with, that they were teaching within their network, with those people that could understand and practice and were disciplined and hold it.
Yeah.
And part of those were the work with the sacred womb, and being able to, for a woman to create a sacred space in herself for a child, for a soul to come in, to have the gestation process, to grow the child in the womb, in this highly divine space where their light was not distorted within the distortion fields of our planet, and to be able to birth the child with their original highest light intact. And these were the parts of the technology, spiritual technologies, that they were aware of and teaching, and that are now slowly starting to become available to those who are interested and want to practice those technologies.
And is it then light conception, or?
Yeah, that's part of it. Absolutely. Part of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so there's also this question that keeps coming back, because we were talking in the beginning about the Egyptian solar system. How is that related to the moon? Because when we talk, most of the time when we talk about feminine mystery, it is super related to the moon. And now I hear you talking about the sun. Can you explain about that more?
It's a really beautiful question. I love your question. And it's true that in the last years, we've been really, really focused on the solarization process. But from my point of view, we can't go through really a solarization process unless we go through this self-reflectedness of the moon, of the silence, of the inner space. It's impossible. That's where the solarization takes place. So without the ability to go inside, to be in one's inner planes, to be with one's inner thoughts, and being able to take responsibility for one's inner state of being, this other work has no place to land, actually.
And I want to add something to that, because we're in this process of moving into oneness consciousness, which I think we will be surprised if we really step into that concepts that we may have known as very known and very true also may disappear.
Can you give an example?
Well,
of
you
that?
talked about the moon, about the sun. It comes in, of a tradition where we feel more the outward going light is the sun, the inward going light is the moon. I mean, that's how we experienced it.
Yeah.
That's our reality. That's our creation here. And I'm wondering, I'm still studying it, so I'm not giving any kind of clues here that I know it, but I do feel, and when I feel it, I mean, there's research to be done, that there's something that we will be in awe of, like, oh my gosh. Because in a way, we're still also talking about a reality that is in duality, in a way.
Yeah.
And we're moving beyond all of these concepts. And
I'm curious too.
I'm really curious. Yeah, I can feel it. We can feel the resonance. We are challenged on several subjects sometimes, like,
we're always being challenged.
We thought it was like this. Oh, it's not like that. Oh, sorry. And then we move, and then we start the research. And I think the invitation also of the golden era, Aquarian age, whatever we want to call it, is that we investigate together inside, because we have so much wisdom, those who are on the earth plane at the moment. It's unbelievable. There's so much inner wisdom if we are ready and willing to access it,
retrieve it, to
and
take the time to retrieve it.
And if we share that as one big puzzle, which is, I think, the beautiful work you're doing, that you allow many people to speak and you voice also your own truth in these conversations, that we start to bring all these pieces of the network together and let them fertilize each other.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're super grateful with everything we receive, and it's making our life super rich. And yet we feel like it's so much time now to bring that network together and exchange and see if you had the same experience. Is there something around the moon that we need to investigate that's maybe completely different than it was brought into our consciousness and our teachings? I think I think that's so exciting about this new time.
Yeah, and what I also feel when you share this, like, to break down concepts that we created and maybe are not true, I can feel that actually when we are in this love, there is no polarity anymore. So of course this will fall away. And I feel that our whole creation is now so based on selling fear, you know. Like, I mean, I worked in marketing, so I know you need to start with creating a big problem where people feel like, yeah, indeed, I have this big problem. And then you start to give the solution. But what if there is no fear anymore? You know, there's nothing that resonates on this energy field. And it is only about love. So we then only need to talk about love, because this is the resonance that we are then in. And that is going to be such a mind shift.
Well,
we were in the middle of that.
We were in the summer. We were asked to bring in some solar disc technology for our community to work with, and the information was, well, just imagine what it would be like to create in a field of total safety. Like, create anything you want, imagine it, and start to go create it. Imagine if there were not a strand of fear, anxiety. Imagine, what would that be like? Let's meditate on that, and let's put our focus there internally to make that reality.
And I feel that we as women, that this is our job, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That we can, by being together and to step into this field, that it will dissolve, and that we can really feel how it is to let go of those fears. Yeah.
But not only women, men, everyone.
True.
Everyone.
But now how I can feel it, I see the women, you know, I see the women gathering this knowledge, and of course we need the men.
Well, and it's a part of it is just really making a decision. I'm going to decision one, I'm going to recognize when I'm in fear. I mean, that's a huge decision. I'm going to be able to differentiate if I'm in fear or in love. And I commit to dissolving the fear before I move into action. I mean, there are certain
Exactly.
kind of like an internal hygiene to break out of this cycle, which is in a cycle of insanity, to move back into our natural state of being as divine creators on earth. But it does require practicing, commitment, discipline, and discernment. Discernment is
because it
so
sounds
key.
so easy, right? It sounds easy to do it, but there's so much to catch in the meantime.
Which requires the stillness and the silence and the daily being in touch with ourselves. Where am I? What's happening inside?
Yeah.
How do I bring that
That's
into
not an
coherency?
easy thing. Also not for people who are, willing, committed, know that they are here for that.
Yeah.
Then still have the discipline. That's not an easy cookie.
No.
So day-to-day practice. But I want to say something because it always arises when, also in our field, of course, we are a channel of oneness. We live in 𝐉𝐨𝐢𝐧, which is a channel of divine union. I've had experiences with living with my twin flame for a lot of years, and being asked again into this whole new divine union with my current husband. There's a lot to say about the women and the men in the channel of Mary Magdalene. And because there's the beauty is of how Mary Magdalene has come to the forefront around the entire world for so many, to allow the feminine, the divine mother, the principle of creations to really rise again, which is, a necessity on all levels, of course. And there's a lot of opening up, which is beautiful, about the role of the women to really step into the empowered woman that we are, not half men, not playing a man, let's put it like that, but really be the woman we are and embody all of these beautiful capacities. What we noticed, and it's always been around us, but the last couple of months, stronger and stronger, as there's more attention also for the men and the men's work. You spoke with Tom in one of your interviews. He's a good friend of us. He's done an incredible amount of work, and there's many around the world who do that, to bring the empowered divine man back into the field. And we've seen that opening up stronger and stronger all around us in our retreats, which are, there's always a majority of women coming to our activities. And we see the amount of men now coming in ready to move through the process with the divine mother in themselves.
Yeah, and I really love that.
And that's so good.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And I feel like, so there's a softening happening and an embrace of the feminine energies. There's a love also for Mary Magdalene and all whoever represents the feminine. And I spoke with Ton about it actually a couple of days ago. Like, it feels that there is now a process happening with these pioneer men to remain their beautiful masculine energies, and at the same time start to integrate that feminine energy that is so present in the field. And I feel when it comes to safety, I've seen so many men at the moment working on that to purify through their inner processes, to let go of I must say, almost the evil. Whatever word can we find for the craziness that's out there or has been out there for so long. I'm not talking only about this time. And how these brave men step into their vulnerability, say yes to the commitment, which is a huge commitment, to purify these immense themes,
to bring love, to bring
to
deep,
bring,
deep
in the
love,
end, love
to the lack of love. It's really bringing the love back. It's huge work.
It's huge, and I really want to express it as an honoring also.
Yeah.
Because it's, there's one thing, there's a reason for being together as women, there's a reason for being together as men, but we are deeply called actually in our current work, and it's actually always been in the channel we're serving at the moment, like, bring in the men and do it together.
Every person is needed. Every person is needed, because actually this is not only about women. I think that one of the things that is specific to women, and this is in a lot of the spiritual teachings, is that women have much easier access to some of these spiritual technologies and channels. So it's much easier, and for men it's harder in general. I don't know
in
why.
the Western world.
Well, it just actually it's
Yeah.
all over the world. This is in the Indian tradition they say it takes men 7 times as long to be able to move through all of the teachings as it is for women. I don't know why that is, whether it's the way that we're biologically built, because women are the ones that actually raise life in their womb. But it's not that it's exclusive to women. It's just that it's easier, let's say. So when men step in wanting to do this work, it's a huge applause. We are in such gratitude.
Yeah, and we feel it as women.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because also in the Mary Magdalene festival last Sunday, there were men, and you can feel the difference, and also them giving back, not them, but some of them giving back their feedback of how nurturing it was, but also what it did to them, but also what it did to the field when there are just men, and there will be more women, but it feels like pillars in the room, that create a container.
Balancing. It's a balance. It's such a necessary balance.
Yeah, and the theme of safety that Anna just brought in is so equally important for both men and women. There's a natural lack of safety in our society.
What a funny thing to say, a natural lack of safety. Unnatural
lack of safety. Let's call it like that.
I'm curious because you shared a little bit before on your partner, and that you said about something about twin flame, and that you created the divine union again. I feel for me it's interesting to hear more about that.
Okay, yeah. Well, my my encounter with Mary Magdalene deepened. I mean, I was raised with a Catholic mother, so I knew about the traditional stories about her, and we were always investigating that. So she has always been there somewhere, and she guided me. I knew backwards a lot, but when I met my twin flame in 1999, that was brought to a whole new level. She came in very active in guiding us in our process into a human relationship, being a twin flame couple, which has not been an easy process because everything that was not of union needed to be transformed. It was a whole process, but there's nothing else I can say but gratitude for that whole process and for the time we were granted to do that process. And Mary Magdalene, Joshua, but also members of what we call the Holy Family, were present in that process through circles we worked in, and there's a lot to say about that. But that was a completion of us coming together in this life experience. Was a completion of something that we needed to go through. So he passed over. We have been together for 9 years, and he passed over. And then I met Philip, my current husband, which was also beautifully guided how it all came together. And it came together through Mary Magdalene, actually.
He was chosen. You were chosen.
I mean, it was so clear. It was so clear. I mean, there's been a lot. It's worth a book.
And then Petra's a rebel, and she's like, you don't get to pick my husband. Sorry, I'm sorry, but no way. I have some right to say something.
I really want to decide myself for this for a husband, if you don't mind, or whoever.
If you don't mind, I'd like to choose my husband.
So it was really miraculous because he knew Mary Magdalene, the name Mary Magdalene, from kind of song, a German song, no idea, but he brought it in when I met him and when I knew him one day.
Wow.
Through a kind of like a joke, but he had it was like spot on. And anyway, that whole process brought us together, which is, when you step from one relationship into another, and specifically coming from a twin flame soul mission into a new relationship, you were like, okay, what is this about? I'm still here on the earth plane. How are we going to do this? And it took us, like 13 years, I think now, to come to the place, and we both needed to come to 𝐉𝐨𝐻, yeah. So we came together to this divine channel of union, 𝐉𝐨𝐻, which is incredible high frequency and vibration, and everything around Mary Magdalene touched us until we started also in Mary Magdalene school, and we came to, she taught us not so long ago about the level of divine union that's asked from us in the current consciousness. And so we are in a process of in this moment of investigating what that means for us. And again, like we spoke about the moon or the sun, or what is that actually, that reality, we are investigating as a couple at the moment, what does it mean to be in divine union, individualized divine human beings in the current consciousness fields? Because there is a whole new game at play in a way, through resonance and through being called in a whole new ways that are not linear always, that are not the way we know relationships. There's so much new to it, which is a beautiful exploration again around divine union. And and I feel that being always connected with Mary Magdalene, Joshua, that those are really strong in our field a lot. I mean, many others, but they teach us about this divine union. And it's incredible how generous in a way that this consciousness is, that we can feel that inside of us, how they share. And for me, it comes sometimes through full embodiment experience. So I can, in an embodied state, receive the intelligence about union, and then find a way in my life, in my practical life, in a family situation, how to create the new altogether.
And
So
the amazing thing is that Philippe also, he quit his job.
He quit his job,
and he's really now stepped in since a year now to help with the school, to evolve the school.
Yeah, it's a big decision.
A big decision.
Yeah.
And so, because you were sharing about this divine union, and I feel that this topic is indeed raising, right? There is more around it. People want to know more about it, and I feel also that a lot of relationships end to find the divine union partner that is now ready to, that you're now ready to meet, which is a different kind of relationship, I feel.
Yeah.
But for me, it is like, does it start? I think so, but does it start on the inside? So you then feel this divine union, and then you translate it.
Yeah. It's I mean, I have these two different experiences in this way around this divine union, to where we speak about now. I see, I mean, it's always a topic, and I see many layers in people around us, how they work through their process of divine union. And for some, it is really the discovery of, first of all, who am I myself as an individualized person, because that is the minimum requirement to step into union. Otherwise you dissolve. And there's no soul mission there anymore that you came in with to fulfill, in a way. So there's that level, and then there's also that longing often with people, why it's such a topic often, like, I know I need to look for union, but where is it? So I see for some people that's really, and it's always the inner journey, period. Underneath everything I'm saying, the inner journey is central. But for some, it depends also on what is the experience you carry, what is it you want to evolve, what is it you want to experience this lifetime, what is it that you took on as a journey this time. So it can be a process of alchemizing.
What are you in service to as well? Because people will often say, well, I'm here and I don't know really what I'm to do. I just wanna be love, in a way. And sometimes when we just open and we say, to the higher realms, well, I'm here and I'm available. And then that divine union is made with some mission as well, that then we need to take on as our own. It's not always easy. It's actually, Philippe always said, I thought that life would get so much easier when I really stepped on my soul path with the school, but that's not what happened at all. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. We're challenged. We're in a constant challenge to expand our envelope to move into deeper and deeper layers of oneness. And that means behavioral mechanisms, it means thinking processes, it means our own maturity of how to work with our emotions, how responsibility for our inner state, and then how do we operate together in the 3D world. So there's so many layers, and it's fascinating. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, and I want to say something, because I mean, the first thing I always say when people ask about a twin flame experience, don't think it's a fairy tale.
No.
And there's such a longing for a fairy tale.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, there may be some.
Yeah.
But I think when you really say yes to union, you get right away everything that's not of union.
Yeah.
That needs to be purified, needs to be transmuted, whatever. And that is how it works. And every time you commit to an intention or a soul mission or whatever,
prayer
about union, the opposite rises.
But I also feel sometimes, but this is a judgment, so, but anyway, I'm going to share it, that sometimes people say, yeah, but we are soul flames, and then you see them like struggling like crazy, and actually that it's too much, you know, that I think this is just an excuse of staying together. Well, actually, I think it's better to leave. It can also be an excuse, I feel, to say that someone is your soul flame, but actually it's toxic.
And that really requires the discernment.
Yeah.
That's really where discernment and being honest with oneself comes in. We need to be 1000% honest and truthful with ourselves on this path, and the deeper we go into the spiritual path, the more we need to be in integrity, 1000% purity, integrity, because otherwise we get really confused. Yeah.
It's not easy to be radical honest with oneself.
No, true. Because there are so many games we can play with ourselves, you know, or creating a fairy tale that is really not a fairy tale. Yeah.
And I think when we pass that fairy tale stage, then the real paradise actually is ready to reveal itself. And that's beautiful. And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a horror story. That's not what it is about. But commitment is really like kind of black and white, you know. It's like yes or no. And when you say yes, paradise is waiting there for you. And yet there may be some inconveniences on the way to go through.
Can you share an example, Anna, of an example that maybe comes up now of you committing to, for instance, the mystery school that you feel that you had the call to, but that you feel you were tested, or how do you say it? Would you say it's testing, or how would you describe that scenario?
Yeah, it's such an interesting topic, this, isn't it? We've talked about this often with Petra, and I said I'm really obedient to what the light realms ask, where she's just a rebel. She's like, no is my first answer to everything. I say, yes, of course, this is my first answer to everything. So when the school came in, it was, well, obviously, of course. And for the first 3 years of working 24 hours a day, it was like, well, of course, this, I'm out of service. And then it became a lot of hours on the computer. And I was like, well, I would prefer to be in my organic garden weeding. I would prefer to be on walks in nature. I would prefer to spend some time with my kids, and all kinds of other things, just like some time to actually be off the computer and feeling more in balance. So here it is, this is my individual need, and a very, healthy need, and a very healthy need. And so this has been a place where the tectonic plates, the friction is happening, but yet there needs to be this happening, but yet I individually, small me, needs this. So there's no black and white answer to how to deal with that, other than really just in the morning going inside into that space of stillness and silence and asking for balance, so that the way that the day unfolds can be done in as balanced way as possible. I don't like to look at my life as a bunch of sacrifices. I don't look through that lens. So I know a lot of people do. I don't like to look at my life that way. I don't have regrets, but there are challenges, big challenges.
This is also to do with the whole dissolution of the timelines that is happening, and how we are grown up in linear time, getting things done, and there's no concept that there can be done things outside of this time cycle. So that's a real beautiful other area of exploration we're in. Like, okay, from a linear time perspective, impossible. We agree. Yes, we agree. So then we go inside, and then there's, I mean, it's pure magic. I cannot say it otherwise. Like, okay, just the guidance is here, the energies, fields are here. How can we make possible what is asked on all levels in a balanced way?
Yeah.
And then things happen. Then the magic comes in again.
Yeah, I feel that this is indeed like one of the most important teachings that I can give women, because that's mostly who I work for, is that sometimes you think, yeah, but I cannot sit still because there's so much to do. But actually, when you do it, when you sit still, then things can flow.
Exactly.
And this is such a, it's always the case.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah,
Always.
Yeah.
Always. And I think you're absolutely right. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest teaching. And
deconstruction.
I was saying to someone the other day, the commitment to the shift is that you're going to sit in a meditation half an hour in the morning and with your altar, and your house could be on fire, and you say, no, I made this commitment, and the fire will go out. But if you tend to the fire won't go out. So it is really that principle that happens, that the moment that we decide, then something shifts. And we need to make that over and over and over and over again, in a sense, don't we? Because the outer world, which is a projection of our inner world, or a part of us that needs transmutation, let's say, will create very dramatic scenarios on the outside to keep us from advancing into the next phase of our own soul journey. It's incredible how that happens. It amazes us over and over and over again. And I had, for example, a woman who was going to come from the Czech Republic to a workshop we did in France, and she called me a week before, and she said, I can't go because I cut my finger and I have a blood infection in my body. And she said, I'll just see how it goes. And I said, you do understand the way that this is operating in your whole system, because it's such a classic. She said, I know. The day before she was supposed to leave, she went to see her doctor, and the doctor said, if you leave the country, you're going to die. Literally.
Wow.
And she sat there with that. She said, I don't know what to do. I hear you. I know that my unconscious mind is making this happen. And I know there's a part of me that thinks it's true. And so I don't know if I'll come or not. And
That's
she said,
such a hard one, huh?
And then it wasn't till the next day, when a car came to pick her up to drive her to come to the workshop, she was going to enter the car, not going to go in the car, going in, going out, and she didn't know. And in the end, she did sit in the car. She came, and within one day, her entire infection was gone. Yeah. So this is how we operate.
You just see that over and over
all the time. We can see it in ourselves. We can see it in others. The larger the leap in consciousness, the greater the drama that arises before.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and we mean
true.
it. We also meet it in when we do a program.
Yeah.
When we are called to bring in a specific study, a specific theme. My God. And we know it, and still we forget it sometimes.
Yeah.
The moment we put it in, it comes in the opposite. I'm like, where are we? And then all of a sudden, one of us luckily remembers.
Yeah. So that's the old that we're alchemizing, Just put that mentally, understand that's the old. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, putting my energy there, just recognizing that's what it is. But it's not easy when people are new to the work because they really believe it's a sign, for example, that they shouldn't advance.
Exactly. And it is also, for me, sometimes it is also as a teacher difficult to say go, because it feels like a responsibility as well, right? And you cannot really say go because it's an internal decision for them to make. But you can, of course, share your vision on it and to challenge them to see it from a wider perspective.
It's a creation mechanism in the field of polarity that we are living in.
Yeah,
but
and
this is it's a good example.
Yeah, and on top of that, to share the stories, what I think is something we have not really learned in our Western society is to what we call to hold space for something. So to if a situation like that occurs, I mean, we don't know what the higher direction is or guidance is for this person, but what we can do is hold space that the best outcome will be there for this person's evolution, the path that it's taking, which is beautiful. And also with that comes also in the practice of prayer, which is also, with religion moving out of our society more and more, also prayer often disappears or has disappeared. So we really feel that if there's a heartfelt prayer in our system, that's not always like a lower mind intention, like I want a Porsche. I'm not talking about that. I'm really talking about prayers and intentions that arise from the space of the heart. If we use that more, then also the alchemical principle will start to open up in ourselves. So we do a practice in a way of see what is our deepest longing, coming from a space of oneness, not coming of a space of individual benefit or gain, but of a benefit or a plus in your life that comes from a space of your higher path,
which benefits everyone.
And so before the interview started, I drove here and I thought, what actually is a mystery school? Because I read about it and then I see a mystery school, and there are many mystery schools, but what is it?
Yeah, it's beautiful to talk about the mystery school tradition. It's really the mystery school tradition comes out of this of a Gnostic tradition, knowing that everything is an internal journey. It comes from within. So the education in a mystery school is all about going inside and educing. The education comes from the word educe, so drawing out from inside what is already there. It's not about indoctrination, which is what the school systems are about. It's about educing that from inside what already is. So it's a way of bringing people back to their own essence, their own natural empowerment that's always there, always, and their own natural ability to create their reality with a whole number of technologies, teachings, all of this guidances. So that's how I would explain a mystery school. I don't know if you want to add something to that.
And I think it's a school of life. So we can in no way compare it with the word school that we know in our society. So it's a school of life where everything is possible and all ways of learning are included. So yes, there can be teachings in the way that we know it, but it's the most important part is, I think, the direct experience, and also the universal element in the way that it does not have one almost doctrine. All wisdom of the entire globe or the galactic realms or whatever are welcome in this school to investigate and to research and to remember. And it's embedded in a oneness consciousness always. And I think there's different mystery schools, because I think how we experience it, we are always researching, like, what is this channel that we are serving? Because we know that there's something specific about it. We do it slightly different than others, of course. And I feel that there's mystery schools who hold specific parts of the consciousness so that each and every one can find their own place to move through their path of evolution and their remembrance process. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, direct experience, I think. And
So does it mean that your retreat always looks different because there is not...
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things we do. So then we say, okay, we have a retreat in this month. And then we say, okay, what are we going to do? But we know that our channel is a consciousness that moves in, like, it can go like really super steep. And then it's more like, okay, we know what we're doing at this moment. And then it goes up. So we never know in the end what we're going to be doing.
What we do know, and this is what's very interesting, and that this is reflecting the shift of consciousness that's happening on our planet, is that we have been told that we're not doing retreats anymore, that actually what we're doing is we're doing spiritual assemblies. So because when you do a retreat, people come and in a way, there's some kind of a level of expecting something from the outside. Oh, we're going to go see these teachers and we're going to get something. There's somehow, consciously or unconsciously, maybe even, there's an expectation. Whereas a spiritual assembly is we are all coming together as spiritual beings. We're making ourselves available. We're in service to that which needs to happen evolutionarily. And that's beautiful. A completely different way of perceiving our coming together. And that came in very much since we were in Cyprus. In May, this started, and then it came in a very big way in our gathering in July. So we see that there's a shift in consciousness happening. We're very much being connected to the work of the masters, the ascended masters connected to Shambhala with the planetary spiritual government. So there's an emergence happening there that was not there before. So this is also,
it's a topic on its own.
Yeah, it's a topic on its own. We're in a continual study. You could say we're in a continual study. Every day we're doing a study. Where are we today? What's happening today? Where's the evolution today? What needs to happen today? You know, so there's nothing to be taken for granted.
Yeah. And so my last question is always, would you guide us in a journey or something that comes up that we can connect deeper to Mary Magdalene?
A journey, you mean to go into a meditation?
For instance,
to connect to Mary Magdalene?
Or maybe there's this something you'd like to share that brings that. It's open, it's really open to what comes.
Yeah, I feel the theme at the moment is to invite each and every one to connect in the current consciousness, not in a consciousness you may know, with your soul, and listen. Be silent and listen, and allow yourself to be surprised. So to stay as open as possible. I think that's probably the guidance that's most strong in this moment in time. Stay open, stay still, and listen. And the rest will unfold itself. There's nothing to do, nothing to search for, but listen. And an inner voice can come in many ways, can come as a knowing, can come as a hearing, can come as an whatever. Maybe you feel like, oh, I think this, oh, that feels really good. I mean, everybody does it in it. There's no perfected way there. Find your own way. Because everybody will receive exactly what it is that you need to receive. And in that way, it's always perfect. It may not be easy always, but it's always perfect. And to trust in that it's good as it really is, as it comes. I feel that's I feel at the moment, I mean, there's so many layers there, but I think stillness and listening.
That's a beautiful one as well, that you said, like, that you trust that that this moment is really perfect for you.
It's always, I mean, even if you experience it difficult or as maybe something you should not have done, don't blame that. Just witness it, study it, understand that your consciousness is there where it can meet the current reality, and that is okay, and that's always a stepstone to the next level of consciousness in yourself. And if we're gonna be pounding ourselves on the head by all these things, we're not moving forward. There's a deep love that is at the basis of our life in ourselves, for ourselves also. That's the basis, I think, for opening up consciousness.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I don't think that I can top that. Being still and listening, and having enough self-respect actually to listen to what's coming, what's emerging from inside. My prayer is that people can honor themselves enough to listen to what's happening from within themselves, because each person is a pearl. So with that deep listening, with each person doing that deep listening, we're bringing another pearl into our creation.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, both
Thank
of
you.
you. It was
Thank
really
you.
a beautiful conversation. I really have no clue how long we are sitting here, but thank you so much for listening. If you have questions, please drop them below. We love to see your responses. I always love to see what came out for you, what was your biggest takeaway, and I will make sure that they will look at it as well. And where can they find you? I will share the link in the show notes, but can you share what is coming up for you maybe?
Yeah, with great pleasure. Well, we can be found at 𝐼Rymagdaleneschool.com. That's our website. And in the very near future, well, actually, we're in the Netherlands for an event. We have an event this Friday at the name of the place is?
In Zeist.
In Zeist.
Hovhoorhuis, yeah.
Yes.
And I feel like if people are really feeling like a yes for, I mean, you're always welcome. I mean, we only work through resonance. If it resonates, you're always welcome. We have a wide open heart for whoever feels like yes. So you're welcome for whatever we do and bring in the world. We are guided, and we bring it as a service. And if you feel you want to contribute, I mean, everybody's welcome.
Yeah.
If you feel so. Yeah.
Thank you so much. There are still a lot of topics that we didn't, because we didn't talk so much about 𝐕 and the community that you started there.
Yeah.
But maybe in another interview.
Yeah.
For now, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for all you do. Huh?
Yeah, thank you so
amazing.
much.
Yes.
For your beautiful
Thank
work.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.